Paranormal researchers often study the capacity of porous building materials to retain an energetic residue of extreme emotional events. Over decades, wood, brick, and old plaster act as a battery for intense pain, storing it within the very grain of the walls. This environmental saturation is most visible in places like the decaying residential colonies on the outskirts of Hyderabad. These are neglected zones where the silence feels heavy and the locals maintain a strict, unspoken distance after sundown. Raghu and Sirisha moved into one of these abandoned properties, drawn by an impossibly low rent that fit their tight budget. They viewed the house as an opportunity for a fresh start, unaware of the history embedded in the foundation. The first day passed with the quiet rhythm of unpacking and organizing. The house remained still, allowing the new occupants to settle into a deceptive routine of normalcy. Small, localized anomalies began on the second day. Sirisha reported sudden pockets of freezing air in the kitchen and the distinct prickling sensation of a gaze following her from the shadowed corners of the hallway. We tend to rationalize these early warnings as drafts or fatigue because the human brain struggles to process a space as a deliberate threat. This cognitive gap provides the environment exactly what it needs: time to sync with the victim's presence. At 2 a.m. on the second night, the auditory manifestations began. A rhythmic tapping echoed through the kitchen, the sound of water dripping into the sink, despite every faucet being turned tight. When Sirisha investigated, she found a biological fluid breaching the mechanical system. Thick, oxygen-depleted blood was bubbling up from the drain, filling the basin in the absolute silence of the house. In the bathroom, Raghu found a direct threat etched into the fog on the mirror. The warning, "Leave or die," had been scraped into the condensation from the side of the glass facing the wall. Sirisha was found in a state of complete catatonia. Her body was unresponsive and cold to the touch, her eyes locked open, while her facial muscles were pulled into a rigid, unnatural grin that she seemed unable to break. These manifestations serve a specific purpose. They target the host's sanity. By creating a state of perpetual hypervigilance, the entity systematically wears down the victim's mental defenses to prepare for a total takeover. The next morning, a neighbor named Imran arrived to confirm their fears. He identified the force as Kalaratri, a localized entity that had claimed the property as its territory long ago. The house held a grim history. 20 years prior, a family was found dismembered within these walls, a case so violent it remained an unsolved anomaly in the city's police records. By night 3, the entity had achieved full possession. Sirisha's voice dropped into a deep, masculine register as she crouched on top of a tall wardrobe, weeping a thick, ink-like fluid from her eyes. Imran brought a Sufi mystic, Abdul Qadir Baba, to the house. His arrival triggered an immediate environmental backlash. The walls violently shook, the glass windows shattered, and the front door slammed shut, as if the house itself were trying to keep its prey inside. The group formed a perimeter, combining Islamic prayers with Hindu mantras. This synchronized chanting created a sustained field of focused intent, challenging the entity's hold on the space and the victim. An entity that feeds on isolation loses its tether when faced with a united front. By refusing to let fear isolate them, the group starved the Kalaratri of the psychic energy it required to maintain its physical influence. As the prayers intensified, Sirisha's body levitated and began jolting backward, as if struck by invisible blows. The sound of her joints popping filled the room, as the entity was physically forced out of her frame. The Kalaratri manifested one last time, a 10-foot-tall shadow that peeled away from the wall, taking a physical, monstrous form. It lunged toward the light, before the collective willpower of the group caused it to fragment and vanish. The house went cold and silent. Sirisha regained consciousness, confused but restored to herself. Before the sun was fully up, the couple had packed their essentials and abandoned the property forever. Months later, the city sent a demolition crew to level the structure. As the bulldozer began smashing into the brick, the crew discovered human remains and blood-soaked clothing buried deep within the foundation's dirt. Among the bones sat a carved wooden box. Inside, a worker found a single handwritten note on blood-stained parchment that read, "I am still here." The worker who opened the box went still. He turned toward his colleagues with eyes that had turned pitch black, slowly bleeding into a glowing red as he began to smile. The trauma that births these entities persists long after the wood and brick have been cleared away. This darkness exists as a residue in the earth itself, a latent force waiting for a new vessel to disturb its resting place.